All right. I hope this is the right channel. Yes. Okay. All right. All right, YouTube. It took me a while to get here. We have to be on Chrome, not anything else. All right. Good Rising, Great Awakenings. Welcome to Good Rising TV, TaMerikan Tuesday. My name is Tachia, aka Arit, and I have on my pinhole glasses, which have holes in them, which force your eyes to focus instead of magnifying what you're looking at. Right now, the sun is blazing right into my vision. So you're coming in very handy. So what is Good Rising TV TaMerikan Tuesdays? Well, Good Rising TV is for people who are just recently coming into the awareness that we've been lied to about so many things and are looking for answers in health, spirituality, culture, just a variety of topics, things that we've experienced from the colonial perspective or under the shadow or veil of Western imperialism. Good Rising TV is for people who live in the quote unquote United States of America. And for their whole lives, they were told they were African American or Black Native, or they were told they were white. And none of those labels are working for us, working for you, working for us. And so we're looking for answers. We're looking for truth. We're looking for solutions. And TaMerikan Tuesdays is a vehicle for me personally to explore the Aboriginal indigenous cultures of this country, of this continent, North, Central, and South America. The word TaMeri refers to North, Central, and South America from the Kemetic or Meduneter names. It means beloved land. Kemet means land of the blacks. TaMeri means beloved land. And we believe, feel, and know that North, Central, and South America was once considered one continent, and people migrated seasonally, annually, by the moon, and we weren't just isolated to one place. And we've come to the understanding that those of us that have been labeled as Black Native American, we don't have that label simply because we have Black and Native ancestry. It's because before there were Native Americans, they were the Aboriginal Americans. We're coming into the knowledge and awareness that there were Black and or melanated people on every continent before the invasions, before the climates changed, and that we are descendants of the Aboriginal people of this land. We're not just grandchildren of a freed African and a Native American. These programs are for people who understand that at some point in time, what the people that are called Native Americans were shipped over here to replace us, to mix with our ancestors and replace us the same way that immigrants are being shipped over here or bused over here to replace us in our Black communities. These programs are for people who are no longer using the terms Black or African American as their identity because they have studied and learned that the term Black is part of a construct, just like the term white is part of the same construct of Western imperialism and Caucasity to remove us from our true cultural identity, spirituality, heritage, lineage, and destiny. And so that is, if you're interested in any of these topics, you are in the right place. I thank you for sticking around. I see some of you have tuned in and tuned out. And I appreciate those of you that are sticking around. And also those of you that are going to be watching this as a replay. Usually how I do this is I have a little bit of a discourse or talking about a certain topic. And then halfway through, I invite people to join the panel and have a conversation. However, if there's something that's really burning and you really need to be let on, just wave your hand or let me know you really want to talk to me, and I will bring you on. If you can see here, got a couple things to talk about. First, let's talk with the spiral dance medicine wheel diagram. You may have seen this diagram used by people of the Lakota Nation, and I happen to be a Lakota descendant. I don't know if people would give me a Lakota card, but I do have Lakota ancestors. And this is part of their spiritual technology. And I believe it also pertains to the Hopi prophecy. And then, as I mentioned, I might have mentioned before, this chart refers to the indigenous people of the four directions, meaning there's also indigenous people to the north, people in Europe. Before the church, before the pirates, before the land grab began, there were indigenous people to the north. And we're aware of the indigenous people to the east. Those are considered Asian or the Orient. Indigenous people of the south, those are considered to be African. And indigenous people to the west, that would be here, TaMeri, North, Central, and South America, right? And so it doesn't necessarily mean that the people to the east are yellow, or the people to the north are white, or the people to the south are black, or the people to the west are red, even though it does appear that way. You may see other medicine wheels that have the order switched around, like they have the red and the white opposite and the black and the yellow opposite. But I choose this one because this is really how we are kind of arranged on the earth. And as I was saying before, allow yourself to be called black takes you away from your nationality, from your nationhood, takes you away from your identity. It takes you away from your history. It takes you away from your nationality. Same with white. When you're considered white, it removes you from your European ancestry. And it's a way to remove you from your karma as well. You notice that the West, they're considered American Indian or Native American or Indigenous American, but they have that America, they have their continent. And when you go to the East, they're considered Asian, Oriental, but Asian. It's connected to their continent or their nation or their tribe or their lineage. But these two, we've been separated, and now we're in opposition here in TaMeri. So that's one reason why I've stopped referring to myself as black. African American, first we were considered American Indian. If you look at the rolls or the records of descendants of oh, thank you so much for sending a gift. Infinite love. Thank you for being here. People, whenever I stop to thank people, I lose my train of thought. Let's see, come back. Well, I'm just going to have to pick up where I am. I'm sorry about that. I just get so excited. Oh, here we go. Rising Great Awakenings. Here's my little sign. Oh, wait, I got another thing to do when I go on TikTok. I have to reverse the image so it's not backwards. Here we go. I don't know how to do that on YouTube. Then I have another little sign. Okay. Oh, it's working on this one. Great. Okay. Again, of course, Grand Rising. Okay, so back to the medicine wheel. All right. Like I said, I forgot where my train of thought was. But anyway, so here in the West, this is called TaMeri because at one point in time, this is what I believe and many of us believe, it was one continent and then it's separated. So the original people were not African. Okay. Oh, I know. I was talking about the term black and white. The original people were not African and they were not black. They were tribal. They had nations. And that's what we lose when we claim black. All right. So that's why I've stopped using the term black. Oh, the original roles. Some of the people whose ancestors did not leave their land, did not go to the reservation. They were at one point, they were considered American Indian. The copper tone, copper hued people were considered American Indian. Then when they were captured and enslaved, they were changed to colored, then Negro, right? Then black, then African American, Afro American, Black. So we're no longer using those terms. We recognize that the original people on every continent were melanated or AKA Black. And we know that to be true in Europe. We know that to be true in Asia. We know that to be true in what's called Africa. So why is that not true in TaMeri? TaMeri's indigenous names are also, miss me with a generalized box. Right. Yeah, generalized box. I still click American Indian, or if they leave other, I put Aboriginal American. Okay, yeah. So why do we claim, we don't need to claim that. And then if you go by Black's law book, Good Rising, Great Awakenings, Free Chief Black Thunderbird Eagle. That would be amazing. Anyone that's imprisoned for being who they are needs to be freed. I don't know about his story, but maybe you can share more with us if you're around for the second half of the program when I invite people on. Right now, I'm just rambling. Oh, Dr. York, thank you. Okay. Yes, I know a little bit about that story, but not enough to talk about it. But I am aware of him and his community, and I am aware of some of the charges that Western Imperialism Society has brought up against him. Anytime you're speaking truth, they will try to bring you down, for sure, especially if you are claiming this TaMerikan heritage and culture. Okay, so again, I'm going to have to start keeping notes because I'm losing my train of thought. But anyway, I talked about why I don't claim Black and TaMeri. Okay, so TaMeri is a term in the Medu Neter, in the Kemetic language, that refers to this continent. Other names for this continent are Chi Amaru, which I think comes from Peru. Mexico has the Chi, right? The XI is Chi. I could write these on the wall. I know I wrote them last time. I have a piece of paper here to take notes. And I'm going to compile the notes and do something with them. So these are some of the other terms for this continent. So TaMeri is what connects us with Kemet. Can you see that? That's too low, too high. Let me start down here. Start here. TaMeri is the Kemetic term. I've stopped even using Kemetic because that limits us to a location and a time in history. And a lot of people are very emotional and agitated about this. Like Arabs are furious whenever I say that ancient African Egypt was Black, or Kemet means Black, or Kemet means land of the Black, or we are the Black people. I was really, I was 100% there, and I understand that we're talking about history, that term is still very valid, and I'm still very proud of my Black ancestry and my Black history and culture, but in dealing in Western imperialism, filling out blanks, filling out applications, or speaking about my identity, TaMeri. Okay, another term. So that's and so, like I said, I don't use Kemet anymore. I use Netarian because we follow the Neters. All indigenous cultures, in my opinion, follow the Neteru based on their location and time. So Neteru, let me put that down there, means the Neters, the gods and goddesses, the cosmic forces of nature. And so every indigenous culture is Netarian, in my opinion. I'm not anyone special, but I am developing this culture because I'm right on the wall. Because we're creating our future by the words that we're spewing out. These are spells. And so if people are saying there's no such thing as TaMerikan, no such thing as America, well then let's build it, or we're rebuilding it. We know it already existed. I don't know if you're familiar with the Tartarian culture that they talk about after the mudflood. That's basically them talking about us without talking about us. They're not saying that it was us, the mound builders, and the things that happened after the mud flood. They're not acknowledging us, but we know it's okay. Okay, so other terms are Chi Amaru, Amaruka, and so one day I was on here and someone had been talking about TaMerikan. In fact, it's an actual hashtag. So I'm like, well, that's it. That includes everything. TaMerikan. And I've seen it with one A. I've seen it with two A's. So if you see anyone talking about TaMerikan or TaMeri, good rising, great awakenings, Constance Woo Woo. I'm so happy that you caught my live too, and I hope that you can stay till the end or halfway through is when I open it up for conversation. So I'm so glad you're here too. And all of you that are still tuning in, I really appreciate it. Let's see, where's my little sign? For those of you that are just tuning in on TikTok, thanks for tuning in. Thank you for tapping your screen. Good rising, great awakenings. Welcome to Good Risings TV. Okay, so that's what we're talking about right on Tuesdays is the culture that was, the culture that is, the culture that we're building, that we're creating. It's a new day, and we don't need to keep doing things the way that they've been done under colonialism and Western imperialism. It's our chance, our time is now. That's what I believe. I've been studying this for almost 40 years now. I was an astronomy grad student, so I got into Sirius and the pyramids and the Milky Way and the Olmec and the Dogon and the Tyrians and good rising Gula. I am not looking to do the match games, and at the halfway mark, around 9 o'clock or so, I will open up for people to join the panel. But I get some time to ramble about my passion before I do that. And so that was my research project, and then I took time to get really into Kemet. And the last time I was there, my spirit guides and ancestors said, now it's time to go back to the original project, the galactic cultures, Sirius pyramid cultures, and unite Western and Eastern Kemet, or Kemet and TaMeri. Okay? So that's why you're here, is because for some reason you're interested in this. So before I move on to the readings, I want to talk a little bit more about the spiral dance medicine wheel. Okay, so in addition to it representing the indigenous people of the four directions, which are destined and prophesied to come together in this time to share the wisdom teachings so that we can defeat Western imperialism. I added that last part because they say each one of these directions only has a piece, one piece of the truth. And when we come together and put them all together, we'll have the truth. And then we'll be able to move forward. If you see here, this middle spot, my vision is this is a spiral, and we're moving forward through time. Time moves forward one day every 70 years. It doesn't repeat. It's moving in a spiral. That's why this is called the spiral dance medicine wheel. It's not just a Lakota medicine wheel. It's a spiral dance medicine wheel. So in addition to the indigenous people of the four directions and the four directions of life on earth, we also have the four seasons. Spring is to the east, summer is to the south, fall is to the west, winter is to the north, right? We also have the mid-seasons. We have the middle of spring, May Day, the middle of summer, the dog days or Sirius rising, the middle of fall, where we are right now, Dia de los Muertos, Days of the Dead, or what Western imperialists call Halloween, and the middle of spring, which is the Chinese New Year, Candlemas. And on this spiral dance medicine wheel, this is when we ascend up the spiral. Right before spring equinox, we make that transition where we're going up the spiral, okay? So at this point in time, we are coming up to the middle of fall, which is October 31st or November 1st. I'll write that down. Wait, I'll write it down over here. markers. Let's try, we'll use orange. How about that for pumpkins? It. Uh-oh. So if any of you are not looking forward to Halloween, about ghosts and goblins and demons and people dressing up like zombies and poisoning children with toxic chemicals, you can dive into your indigenous ancestry roots and have a traditional middle fall ceremony. So middle of fall, oh no, down here, mid-fall, on the spiral dance medicine wheel, All Hallows Eve, that is supposed to be October 31st. And on that night, you are, can you see? Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff up there. You can't see, right? There we go. On that, still can't see. Okay, bring it down. No, there we go. There we go. Okay, can you see? No, there we go. Okay, so on October 31st, this is the night that you are supposed to give your home a spiritual cleaning. In addition to dusting and mopping and sweeping and vacuuming or whatever your process is, you give it a rinse with different botanicas, different herbal concoctions, you could say, with intentions. Like you would use rosemary for protection. That's simple. Or lavender for purification. There's a whole list of others. Different herbs you use for, like if you have a business, to make your space more attractive to customers or to get increased clients. I use Original Botanicas. It's out of New York. And this is where I first learned about this because I was looking for spiritual practices to improve my business, and I learned more about this. So you would do one to and make your space more welcoming to your ancestors, to invite your ancestors in. After you do that, then you go around with sage or palo santo, with shikares, rattles, drums, and you go around the corners. I have like a special duster I use to get the cobwebs out. Even if you don't see cobwebs, if you don't have any, you still brush the walls to get them out because that's where toxic energy resides, is in these angles in our building. That's why indigenous homes are round. They don't have angles. Okay. Then on November 1st through the 2nd, it's called Dia de los Muertos in Mexico. And other cultures have different names, but most people are familiar with this one. And that's when you create an altar for your ancestors, and you commune with your ancestors. They say that the veil between the realm of the living and dead opens between the middle of fall and it closes at the middle of winter. Fall and winter are the hardest seasons for me, but I'm hopeful that as I go deeper in my healing and ancestors, I'll find some joy and comfort in these seasons. Oh my goodness, Constance. Fall and winter are some of my favorite seasons. I guess they're all my favorite, but I love the fall and winter because the days get shorter, right? And the sunrise comes later and later and later. And so that gives me more time to have my spiritual practice. Because I'm one of those that likes to wake up at 4, but when the sun is rising at 4:30, it's hard for me to get it in. And I'm just like, because once the sun rises, it's totally different. It's just totally different. And so I think people just get depressed because the days are getting shorter. And of course, the weather is getting colder, but just embrace it. Just use that. You have more time to turn within and work on crafts that during the summertime, we're always out at the lake. We're always out in nature and we don't have time to this is time to like store your preserves or canning or just different baking rituals, because in the summer it's just too hot. I just don't feel like baking bread. But in the wintertime, I just love to bake bread and have hot chocolate and spiced cider. There's just different things that are only for that season. That's one thing that's about Western imperialism. They try to have every season the same. Everywhere they go, they want it to be cold. They're from the north and they come here where it's not Chicago, but they come to other places where it's warm and they want to be cold. Just embrace like certain foods. You only eat apples, pumpkin, pears in the fall. You don't eat them in May and July. In July, you're having watermelon. You don't eat watermelon in the winter. So once you just really embrace the seasons and the wonderful thing that makes each season so wonderful, then you will find more joy and comfort in these seasons. And I believe that if you get into the natural holy days instead of the commercialized holy days of the West, it will totally change your mind, your heart, your mind and your heart. Okay, so back to Dia de los Muertos. So one of the traditions from Dia de los Muertos is the marigolds. So I bought some from this beautiful vendor. I was at the Pueblo market last week. And in Mexican cultures, they buy marigolds by the ton, I guess. I don't know. And they make beautiful displays for their ancestors. And, you put out their favorite foods or, just things that mean a lot to you. You only bring them out at this time of year. But it's a perfect time to, however you choose to get in touch with your ancestors, this is the time. And so for the rest of this week, you would be cleaning your space to prepare for their visits. So that's what I wanted to say about the spiral dance medicine wheel in the middle of fall. Okay. We got a few more minutes before we open it up. And thank you for tapping the screen. I really appreciate you. Anyone who is still with me on TikTok, thank you for tapping the screen and for sharing your gifts with me as I'm sharing my gifts with you. Okay. And so before I go on to the next thing is, I just wanted to say that in the very near future, one more thing. So the middle of fall, spiral dance medicine wheel, the next ceremony for the spiral dance medicine wheel will be November 1st at sunrise, live from Pebble Beach, where myself and my sound healing partner, Zen, Frankie, we're going to be offering chants, music, sounds, honoring the indigenous people of the Four Direction, coming together in this time to defeat Western imperialism and Caucasity. According to the Hopi prophecy, at this time, during the third shaking of the earth, and check out the Hopi prophecy, it describes so many things that are happening right now. For example, the spider webs in the sky, that's the internet. Like so many things. They talk about people walking around like shells because their soul, their spirit is not there. Like, we've got people walking around who might be clones or reptilians or people that are so brainwashed with Caucasian Western imperialism that there's nothing there. When they come out, there's nothing there. And so when this huge transformation takes place across the world, they're just going to drop because they're just a shell. So the Hopi prophecy goes into detail about this time. And so that's why I started doing the spiral dance medicine wheel. We have the Dakota Four Direction song. We have the Anpu Opener of the Way song. We do some chants from the East. We do Japanese Buddhism. We do some Hindu chants. And I have yet to learn a song or a prayer from the people of the North yet, but it just hasn't come to me. However, the whole concept of the spiral dance is from the people of the North. So the whole, it's got elements of the indigenous people of the Four Directions. And then we offer the Cosmic Chimes and Chanting, which is a combination of people of the North and people of the South, because I have the chimes set up with the celestial alignment, and then I chant the names of the nectar root. So then we have that offering, and we have another Cherokee song, closing song. We have the fire, we have the air, we have the water, we have the earth. It's really beautiful and powerful. So if you have time to tune in Saturday, November 1st at around 7 a.m. Central Time, we'll be going live, and then you can also watch the replay. All right. So now I'm going to dive into some of the the other thing I was going to say is in the near future, the devotional offerings from Majesty Temple will be available by virtual temple membership, aka subscription based. So that will be the spiral dance medicine wheel. That'll be the cosmic chimes and chanting for the moon and various celestial events, and the cosmic adorations, which is Natarian devotion, no world music. And the Good Rising TV is an opportunity for me to just run my mouth and talk to you about my passions, and it also inspires me to continue with my research. Okay, so I have a bag of books here. It's got Kemet from when I was in Kemet, of my favorite books on this topic, and I'm just going to pull one out and just read from it for a little bit. Oh, what do you know? I pulled out one of my books. Okay. I didn't even know it was in there. All right. This is very good. All right. So you may or may not know that in a previous existence. Okay. Well, it's always a good time to feel close. She says, I definitely feel closest to my ancestors at the summer solstice and the winter solstice, but this time of year, I feel very close to my father, who's an ancestor. Yeah. Well, possibly during the summer solstice and the winter solstice, that is a very our celestial ancestors. Like the summer solstice, we're getting ready for Sirius rising. The winter solstice, we've got Sirius culmination. Those are very serious times. However, this time of year is specifically when that window opens. It's not open any other time of year. So maybe this is why you feel closer to your lineage ancestors. So I don't know. It's just my first thing. Anyway, this is my book, upside down, that I wrote back in 1999. It would have been my, if I had remained in grad school, this would have been my PhD thesis. After I dropped out of grad school the first time, I went back and studied with Linda Sheely, who was at the time the Mayan expert worldwide, no questions, hands down, the expert. And after I found out about Sirius, I went back to grad school. I applied. I got accepted into her program. I was going to be her favorite student because she always wanted to study with an astronomer. And when I got into her program, I was Mayan cosmology. Ooh, I'm getting ready to. Oh, thank goodness! I'm getting ready to upload this and make it available online. That's what I'm supposed to be doing. I just haven't made the time. But let's see. I'll show you some images from this. Okay. Yeah. So this is how I got to where I am right now. Oh, you're speaking of summer. So this is a chart of the stars of summer, showing the Milky Way, the dark area, so the Milky Way. And I realized that all she did, and no disrespect, this is just how it is in the PhD world. Your next research project is based on the work of your grad students. They turn in their reports to you, and then you go and do your. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to do my own research. I'm not going to allow this to happen to me. She was very excited to meet me and everything because I had been in astronomy. But what I learned from her, I see here I have the star charts of the 4 seasons. What I learned from her was that the Mayan culture, which is really, and I had promised I would have the numerical system up, and I don't, so I'm going to write it down again. That's where we left off last time. Olmec numerical system. I wanted to show how similar it is to both the Kemetic and the Dogon. But I didn't finish. I didn't get that far. Anyway, what I learned from her is that the Mayan Olmec culture is based on the Milky Way galaxy. Their calendar is based on the Milky Way galaxy. Their ceremonies, their culture, everything. They still honor the sun and the moon, but theirs is a galactic culture. And that's when I stepped forward and realized that was my path too. Because when I was in grad school, I was a galactic astronomer. And then also around this time, I learned about the 13 constellations, the 13 constellations along the ecliptic, the zodiac, and how Western imperialism blocks out the 13th constellation of Fiacus. And so that's what gave birth to horoscopes, the 13 months, I'll say, Natarian or Kemetic astrology system that I work with. I'll write that down. Which is the foundation of my sound healing practice, which is also celestial. And so we studied how the Milky Way moves, learned how to use it as a clock, and then when I learned that every indigenous calendar that I was aware of had 13 months, and they all have 1 month that's really only 5 to 7 days long, a week, and that these cultures, these calendars all follow Sirius. Things just started like what? Like, how can we not know this? I'm in grad school about to get a PhD in astronomy, and they say I'd be laughed out of the program if I mentioned Sirius. So this is what this first couple of chapters are about. And here we go. The sacred. Oh, okay. Let's start right here. This is from. Oh, I don't even have pages. I'm just going to read a little bit from my book. When one thinks of Egypt or Kemet, what first comes to mind is the Nile, Cleopatra, perhaps the pyramids. However, their ancestors refer to their homeland as Kemet. As for Guatemala, Belize, and Yucatan, many people recall the Aztec. However, that region was originally referred to as the Maya. The indigenous people, culture, and civilization are known as Mayan. Their predecessors are said to be the Olmecs. And as for Peru, most people have heard of the Incas, yet their ancestors were and still are known as the Quechua. Let's take a quick look at those astronomical cultures, what is today known as ethnoastronomy. Dr. Ben Yochanan, one of my first teachers, in his book called We the Black Jews, cites evidence of the fact that as their culture was invaded by a non-African tribe, the Hyksos of Asia, the focus of their worldview shifted from Ra, creator of himself and all that is, to Ra, the sun, from the tree of life, i.e. the Milky Way, to the Pharaoh. The sacred Mayan calendar is based on a 1320 cycle, or a 260-day year. The solar system is about 26,000 light years away from the galactic center. The precession of the equinox, the wobble of the Earth's tilted area, has approximately a 26,000-year cycle. I believe that further research will prove the Mayan calendar to be in sync with the galactic pulse. Although the calendar is said to have originated in the year 100 BC, I think that further research will prove its origins to be much older than that, even Olmec in origin. And what little research I have done already proved that. Here's an illustration of the Olmec Mayan calendar, 1320. And then I started studying, and then this is their diagram of the Milky Way, the tree of life, and it's a corn plant. And then I also studied with Horace Butler, whose book, When Rocks Cry Out, really goes into this topic. He really dives deep. Thank you so much for tapping the screen. As long as I get over 1,000, I feel like I did something. And so his research shows that the cultures on West Africa and Eastern Olmec, Eastern TaMeri were connected. There was a current that would whisk you from Mali and different cultures on the coast to the Yucatan. And we're not here to say which came first. We're just here to say it was the same culture, same people. Just like we have, you might have, I live off of Lake Michigan in Chicago. What if my uncles and aunts lived in Michigan, Lake Michigan in Detroit? We're the same people. We just live in different places, separated by a body of water. Okay, so I have lots of charts here that show how in their culture, they represent the different movements of the Milky Way by different versions of these, corn stalk trees. It's all backwards, right? So like a different tree would represent a different moment on the Milky Way, and it's a clock. And I just found this to be so fascinating. Oh, this is upside down. And then when I shifted my visions to the Peru, the Quechua, they have a similar culture. Their culture, even though people identify it as solar, is actually galactic. I forgot it goes from front to back. Okay, so here's the Mayan clock, and I'm going to be talking about this a lot more on TaMerikan Tuesdays. I just have to get back into it. It's been so long because I've been studying Kemet for 13 years. Okay, so here in Peru, and according to Horace Butler, Peru is Heru. Jerusalem is Jerusalem, Heru peace. He's got it all worked out for us. And then even if you go to Jewish scholars, and I'm not talking about Zionists, I'm talking about Jewish scholars, Hebrew scholars, they will tell you that their research shows that none of the things that they say happened over there in Jerusalem or Israel happened. There's no archaeological evidence to support that any of those fables happened there. However, Horace Butler shows proof that they happened over here on TaMeri. Okay, so when you go to Quechua, their galactic culture is set up in such a way that their village will have a road crossing a river. It mirrors the way the Milky Way crosses the ecliptic. And it at certain times of the year, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it does, right? So when you're looking towards Ophiuchus, which is the 13th constellation here, we call it Imhotep, Ophiuchus, which is in between Scorpio and Sagittarius, you're actually looking into the heart of the Milky Way. And when you look at the sacred hoop, to the Lakotas, the sacred hoop, Orion, Gemini, and the great dog or Sirius, or to the Lakota sacred hoop, or to the Mayan Olmec, the Gemini is the basketball court, you're looking away from the sun, you're looking out to the arms. So in the Peruvian culture, their whole agriculture system is based on the Milky Way and their town. And if you go to Peru, going to see Machu Picchu, don't do what I did and assume that this place is near Machu Picchu. No, it's the train stop right before Machu Picchu. Can you believe it? I went all the way there and didn't bother to find out where it was. And the train stopped and they said, oh, get off here, take a break and view the city and then come back down the train and go to Machu Picchu. I was like, no, I'm going to Machu Picchu. So I have to go back. Absolutely. I have to. In fact, I'm lighting some sage because I have to go back. I hear that now when you go to Machu Picchu, you're no longer able to just crawl around and explore the buildings and the hieroglyphs and everything. You can only view it from the observation deck. So I'm so grateful that my daughters and I got to go back in, when was that, 2007. But anyway, so their town is tuned to the Milky Way. It's not just tuned to the sun or the moon like Western imperialism. It's only tuned to the sun and the moon, and then they act like it's not. Okay. And then on the next page, we show how, so they have the road that crosses the river, and then there's a circle around it. Everything is a circle. And within the circle, different villages are located in a circle around this X, right? Different families have lived here for who knows how long. And so at different times of the year, they have a festival at different village or family home. And they've been, these are the Quechua, they've been keeping this up. They're still doing this. You're not gonna convince them to have Christmas or Easter or Halloween. They'll be like, no, we already have our sky map. Because that's the thing about Western imperialism holidays. They're tuned or timed to coincide with the natural holy days. Or like it'll be a week later or 10 days later or 2 weeks later. but they're still harnessing the energy. So you can best believe that on the natural holy day, they're having their ceremonies. But then on the Western holy day, you all are having your ceremonies and you're giving all of your energy to the Western imperial system rather than just following the natural holy days yourself. Okay, so that is one of my big things. That's why I have the spiral dance medicine wheel, so that you can tune in to the real nature holy days that our ancestors, all indigenous people, follow these holy days. And when you can tune it with the Milky Way, when you can bring that energy, because that is the significance of the equinoxes and solstices. I have not done enough research to check the mid-seasons, but at the equinoxes and solstices, we line up with the axis of the Milky Way. Like if you may get off of your path, for a little while, but then when it's time to line up with the Milky Way, everything, it like starts over. It's like a reset button. Everything comes together. And that's just the way it is in nature. And so here, let me read a little bit from this page. This is about the Peruvian culture. The name of the river that intersects with their main road is called the Vilcanota River. The Milky Way is equated directly with the Vilcanota River, which flows from the southeast to the northwest through the department of Cusco. Cusco is when you go to Machu Picchu, you stay in Cusco, then you take the train to this Vilcanota River, and then further on Machu Picchu. The Vilcanota River is like a mirror reflecting the Mayu, the river in the sky. Oh, and I have a song about this, the Peruvian Milky Way culture. If you ever want to check out my music, the song for this Firewater is a song about the Milky Way galaxy based on Peruvian Inca culture. And you can find it on Celestial Folk Music. This is actually, of all my songs, this is my favorite song. Celestial Folk Music. Of all my songs. Why? Because it's about the Milky Way galaxy. In fact, that whole album, Celestial Folk Music, is my PhD put to music. There's songs about Sirius, there's songs about the Milky Way, there's original Cherokee music. That's why this broadcast is on this channel, because it has to do with my music. Folk music. All these wisdom teachings that we're going over now is the foundation of every one of my songs. So, okay. Finish this, and then we'll have the discussions. To the Quechua, the Milky Way can be thought of as a plane rotating around the Earth. The plane of rotation is inclined between 26 and 30 degrees with respect to the north-south plane of the Earth's rotational axis. The Earth is tilted, and that's what gives us the seasons. For an observer to the southern hemisphere, and I have an illustration. I'm so excited that I still have this book. I've been trying to find it on my computer, but I couldn't, so I'm going to have to enter it in manually. That's why it's taking me so long. It's amazing that I'm still on this path after all these years, because the research was conducted in 1984, 1985. I didn't publish this until 1999. Okay. For an observer to the southern hemisphere, the point at which the Milky Way comes nearest to the South Pole, the galactic center, is at the center of the Coal Sack and near Alpha Crucis of the Southern Cross. As mentioned previously, in the northern hemisphere, the galactic center is located in between or near Sagittarius. The arrow points toward the center. Ophiuchus is the center, and Scorpio, the arrow points toward the center. The southern celestial pole, as silencio, is silent, unmarked. An informant in Mismene described the region of the Southern Cross as the center of the Mayu, not because of its revolution around the pole, but because it is at the point at which the two celestial rivers collide. The Milky Way is actually made up of two rivers. The two Mayus originate at a common point in the north, or south in our case, Sagittarius, flow in opposite directions from the north to the south, and collide head-on in the southern Milky Way, in our case, northern Cassiopeia. That's interesting because, been an hour. All right. That's interesting because in the Kemetic tradition, Cassiopeia, the Big Dipper, the Little Dipper, the pole star, which we know changes, that is considered to be the direction of the sky of the non-setting stars. These stars never set. They're so close to the pole that you always see them. And when you're doing your spiritual work, we're supposed to face the north, not the east, the north, because we're heading to infinity. We're not heading to reincarnate and do this over and over and over again. We're heading towards the north. Or if you're doing ancestral work, you head to the west, because that's another direction given for eternity. Because you go to the west and then the sun doesn't set. Actually, when I do my spirit work, I head northwest because I want to encompass both. But I did not know, I had not remembered this. While terrestrial rivers conduct water downward, rain, streams, river flow down, the celestial river recycles water upward, the cosmic ocean, the northern southern Milky Way upward. That's so amazing. To me, that just gives me chills. All right, so here's a diagram that shows the solstices and the seasonal axes of the Milky Way. Oops, here we go. Oops, there we go. Yeah, this was my research project. I never turned it in. I withdrew from her class and started gardening. I started gardening by the sun, and I started following the Milky Way. And then after Linda Shealy passed away, her spirit came to me and told me that I needed to, I think I talked about this last week. I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but it's the middle of fall. She told me that I needed to pick up my work again and start teaching about this. So that's why I started doing TaMerikan Tuesdays. And again, I apologize if I'm repeating myself, but this time I actually have receipts, as some people would show. Okay, so here's an interesting map. So in the south, they have different constellations than us. Well, I mean, they still follow the solar, but they have galactic constellations. They actually observe the patches of darkness, obscuration within the arms of the Milky Way. And in 2012, our solar system actually moved into the galactic plane. Like before that, we were not in the plane, and we moved into the plane. Winter solstice, 2012. You can't make this stuff up, really. So, and here's another beautiful diagram. So here is a diagram where they show how the solar, I'm getting backwards with my fingers. This diagram shows how the layout with the Villa Canota River, which reflects the ecliptic, and the ecliptic is the road and the river is the Milky Way. The ecliptic, how they line up with the galactic axes. How the solstices and equinoxes line up with the axes. And then this diagram shows you how, to this day, they still have the festival that shows this connection. Okay, so this is still going on. They're not going to stop. And it's up to us to join back in. That's all it is. It's time for us to reconnect with this Aboriginal culture. Another thing I want to talk about is why people are scared of us coming into this knowledge. I know there's some people on TikTok, like some of the people that I learned about this from, they get very angry and arrogant, and their ego is just blazing through, and it turns people away from it. Good rising, Nitra. You're just in time for the discussion. We've been talking about cosmology as it pertains to the Aboriginal culture, galactic Sirius culture of TaMeri. And today we found my book. I have a book that I'm going to be publishing soon, my research project from grad school way back in the day. And we've just been going through it a little bit, how the TaMerikan culture, the Olmec culture is galactic. That's my platform. I'm going to be putting this out more and more because we need to come together. We can't be bickering over who's first. And and also I have no patience for Western imperialism or caucasity. If you come on, if I invite you in and we're having a conversation, if you start talking about the three major world religions, which are tools of weapons of mass destruction of Western imperialism, that would be Christianity, Judaism, or Islam. If you come at me with those, this is not that space. We're not dealing with that. We're only dealing with the cultures that existed before the invasions. There's indigenous people to the north. I have no problem talking to them because we can learn from them too. People that are still holding traditions in Ireland and Scotland and France, all these places that you associate with slavery. Before that whole thing began, they were just people honoring the same traditions. So that is where we're at. And just going back to these traditions, the mound builders, we don't really know how to deal with the mounds. They were the foundations of ancient structures and pyramids. We've got the mud flood, the Tartarians. We've got a lot to work with. We can project the life, the vision, the reality that we want for ourselves, our children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. We don't have to just try to figure everything out under the constructs of this matrix. So here's to all the new people tuning in. Good rising, great awakenings. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you for tapping the screen. Thank you for your gifts. And I see Constance has another comment. I understand that not a lot of people know this knowledge, but I really do think sidereal astrology is suppressed. Oh yeah, it's suppressed. I'm pretty sure that's why I'm suppressed on TikTok, because they suppress astrology in general. But there's no way I can forget about it. Once you know the truth, you can't not know it. All right, so I'm at the point of the program now. If anyone is interested in joining this discussion on TaMerikan spirituality and culture as it pertains to descendants of the Aboriginal Americans of TaMeri, TaMerikan, Chi Amaru, people who follow the netters, not any religion, or people who are interested in the spiral dance medicine wheel, and people interested in galactic culture of the Olmec and the Natarians around the world. Here's your opportunity to share with us what you know or any questions you have. If not, I'll just keep going. And got another 30 minutes or so. This is my favorite topic. If you're interested in astrology more, that would be on Wellness Wednesdays, where we cover astrology, sound healing, pendulum readings, energy readings, herbalism, Bach flower remedies, just anything dealing with wellness. And Wellness Wednesdays, I live stream on YouTube on the Kimatones Cosmic Sound Healing channel, because the Light Beam Wellness channel is still growing. But they'll be growing. Both of them are on TikTok. And then on Thursdays, we have Natarian Devotion on Thursdays, where we go into different aspects of the Natarian spirituality, in particular, the one of Osmoticity Temple of Divine Light Healing and Sweet Sounds. But today, on Tuesdays, we are dealing with TaMerikan and topics of interest and vitality to the descendants of the Aboriginal people of this continent. Now, this is not meaning to say that anyone that is living in the United States of America that is not a descendant of the Aboriginals of this land, it doesn't mean there's no place for you. I'm not one of those people that says everyone has to go home. Although I have said that when I was conditioned by the whole black-white supremacy thing. I think that if it was up to me, the people that can stay are the people that can accept that the Aboriginal people of this country, of this land, were indeed what we call black, that the Native Americans came much later. And the people that can live with this truth we can go forward, because the people, any people that were anywhere before the colonizers began, to me, they're the indigenous people of that land. They're the people that just sprang up, after the Aboriginal people were wiped out or replaced, or wars, whatever it is that decimated the population of the Aboriginals of this continent, whatever it is that fragmented us, whatever it is that separated us from our original teachings. The descendants are here, and other people have moved here. And anyone that can identify with their own indigenous culture and is willing to let go of Western imperialism, it was up to me, you would be more than welcome to stay. Another topic is that I've noticed that some people that get on here and they're super angry about this topic, they say there's no place for people of other cultures or people of other races, and there's no place for mixed people like myself. I'm mixed. I have Cherokee, Chalagis, Lakota, Saponi. I know of one African ancestor from Nigeria. I have a French slave owner, Henri Jean-Baptiste. I don't believe that all of his ancestors were slave owners. I believe maybe he was, maybe his dad, but not all of them. And then I also have German. I have a German lineage who married a Black Cherokee. So I don't believe that he was a Nazi. I don't believe every person of German descent is a Nazi. Many of them weren't happy with it, what happened. So that is the energy of the spiral dance medicine wheel. It's not by race. It's not by melanin quotient. It's by what's in the mind and what's in the heart. Isn't that what Haile Selassie was trying to teach us? Like, was all of that for nothing? Are we just going to go ahead and repeat the same racialism, tribalism, genderism, patriarchy, dynasty, Caucasity? Are we just going to do the same thing? Like, I remember when McDonald's was taking over Chicago, and then people were so excited because you could have an African American McDonald's. You could have a McDonald's, but it had kente cloth. This was when Roots came out. But you're serving the same garbage. Like, is that really what we want? We want our sovereignty. We want our freedom. We want to be free of Western imperialism. And then we're just going to turn around and do the same thing. No, those values are not TaMerikan. They're not welcome here. Because up to me, it's just not going to happen. There's no room for Western imperialism in a sovereign, indigenous, Aboriginal world. It doesn't make any sense. It's hard to feel like not all other non-indigenous, non-Black people should be able to live here. I know this is trauma, but it's hard to trust when we have generational trauma. It's true. But the thing is, we're only dealing with indigenous people. Indigenous. We're not dealing with colonizers. Many of my dear friends are non-Aboriginal of Turtle Island, but they're Aboriginal descendants of where they're from, and they have a perfectly good mind and a perfectly good heart. They are perfectly wonderful people to build with. Yeah, so it just depends on, and so for people who, that's what I was going to say, for people who are adamant about only people who look like them being in their tribe, that's fine. We have different tribes and different nations. We have different frequencies, different states, different vibrations. So if someone wants to be with people that totally hate non-melanated people, they can have their own space. I'm not that way. I don't hate anyone that can identify with their indigenous culture and that can respect indigenous people of the four directions. This is four directions. It doesn't negate the people of the North. This is the Hopi prophecy, 10,000 years old. I was speaking to someone who said they discredit the Hopi because they're not Aboriginal. How do you know that their ancestors were not Aboriginal? I mean, how do you know? They still have plenty of melanin. So who's to say that the people that are here today called Native American, which I agree, some were brought in to mix with us and replace us, and yet their traditions could still have Aboriginal origins, which is why I always come back to this spiral dance. And I don't have Hopi ancestry. I don't have Hopi that I'm aware of. I'm Chalagi, Cherokee, Saponi, Lakota. But I really believe in this. It is medicine. It can bring healing. I told the story last time when I came into this, and I have the song Lakota Four Directions, which is based. It's the Lakota Four Directions song, and I put it to reggae. Lakota Four Directions. Oh, I see. I'm going off the paper. Four Directions. That is on the album Rise Against Truth. Rise Against Truth. That song was medicine for me because at that time I hated non-Black people, non-Native American people. To me, I was a Native American. I was Black. I was ignoring my Caucasian heritage. It just wasn't dealing with it. Is it too low? Can you hear me? Okay, last time someone said they couldn't hear me. Okay. And so I had developed styes on my eye, and it lasted 2 years. I know I talked about that. It went here, 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 then it jumped here, then back here, then here. And I hated white people so much. Like everything they did. Because I had just come into the knowledge of enslavement, Christianity, Western imperialism, Trail of Tears. I didn't know any of that when I was a grad student in astronomy at UT Austin. When I was a physics major at Oberlin College, I didn't know. That's when That's when I first started to figure it out, was at college. But up until then, I didn't know. I didn't know I had Cherokee or Lakota. I didn't know anything about Africa, nothing. And so anything that was not me, I hated it. And that lasted about 2 years. Then I came into the knowledge of the Hopi prophecy and the Lakota Four Directions, the indigenous people of the Four Directions. And I realized that I was hating part of myself. I was hating some of my ancestors. Granted, I despised the one that was a slave owner, but that doesn't mean they all were. You know, it just doesn't. And then I have some relatives that look just like me, same skin color as me, and I don't trust them. I don't like them because of what's in their head and what's in their heart. I try so hard to spend time with them, but I just can't. I don't have anything to say. I don't have anything to talk about. We don't have anything in common because they're so pro-colonizer. They'll defend the colonizer. You know, we'll get into a conversation about something and they'll be defending Western imperialism. So it can't just be about the color anymore. I don't think that applies. The Europeans that were around at the time of Christianity's rise, they were mistreated. They were captured. They were killed. They were burned at the stake for practicing herbs and following the moon. They call us witches. So in order to fully love myself, I had to love every aspect of myself. I could not hate what brought me here. I can hate the act because I'm sure rape was involved. You know, I was raped. But I have to learn to appreciate even my own assault because my assault took me away from the matrix. I would have gone ahead and gotten a PhD in astronomy, been the first Black female astronaut, and then put on a space shuttle and blown to bits. So I have to learn to appreciate everything about myself and my life, even my European lineage. So, and if that doesn't resonate with you, then you're in a different tribe of TaMerikan. You're in a different state. You're in a different vibrational frequency. And there's nothing wrong with that. The people that are saying it all has to be the same, they're the ones that are wrong. Because every state is not the same. Even the state of Illinois is completely different from the state of California or Florida. It's based on their geographical location. Now that we're all scattered, it's based on our consciousness and our intelligence and our practices. So we just have to be open to this growing and just not being afraid. You know, I was afraid to come out on this platform and talk about TaMerikan, because people are very sensitive and their ego takes over. Oh, yeah, I can see. Constance says she lived in Chicago for 6 years and hated it. I can see why you hate it. It's a city. There's a lot of racism here. There's a lot of corruption here. And I grew up here, and I was so happy to move away. And I hated it for a long time. I moved back here in 2018 to do something with this building that I inherited, because I wasn't able to do it from California. So I moved here, and I hated it. I hated it until I found Pebble Beach. Until I found a wild, unpaved, natural swimming hole on the south side in Chicago, free. And now I'm an activist to preserve the wild space. So if I had not found Pebble Beach, I would be miserable. I was practically suicidal. I was so depressed because there was nowhere to go be in the water. And I know people would say it's polluted and it's this and it's that. You know, all the water that we use in Chicago comes from the showers, the sinks, cooking. Like, I mean, if they're trying to poison us slowly, they are poisoning us slowly. The air is polluted. The food is polluted. The entertainment is polluted. The music is polluted. Like, it's all polluted. But when I'm in the water at Pebble Beach, I do not feel it polluted. I feel the purity and the sacredness. And I believe it's from the shoal. There's a bed of limestone that's 300 million years old. And I believe that is why that's such a special place for us. And if it wasn't for that place, I would hate it here too. I really prefer to be out in nature. I prefer to be in Mexico, Brazil, Peru, Ecuador, Belize, Kemet. I haven't been to Mali yet. I have not been to Ethiopia yet. I haven't been to the Orient yet. But if I could be anywhere else, it would be south of the US border. But I decided to stay here because this is such a big, important fight ahead of us. We really want to save the people here. We really want to make a difference in their lives, raise the frequencies of these places, offer healing to the ones that are completely brainwashed. If we all leave, who's going to be here? I know the Hopi say the time to wake up the people is over, and all you can do is comfort the ones that are already awakened. I believe that. I truly believe that. And my work is not really for people who are still totally brainwashed, because I don't have the patience to try to translate everything they say and break everything down. This is mostly for people who've already left, or they're trying to leave Western imperialism behind. People ready to leave Christianity, Islam, or Judaism, or Hebrew Israelite. Because I've practiced all of those. I practice Japanese Buddhism. I practice Hindu spiritualism, you know, with yoga. I've been to all those directions, and I've checked out all those practices, and none of them could take me where Kemet or Natarian spirituality did, because it encompasses everything, and it's something that we can every tradition can translate to Kemet, to the Meta-Neter, to the Natarian traditions, every single one. And we don't need to be caught up on like the Arabs saying, Africa, Egypt is not in Africa. Egypt is in the Middle East. We don't need people like that here, or people who refuse to accept the fact that the Aboriginal people on every continent, in every culture, every nation, were quote unquote black. They were just the original people were black, but they're not. I don't want to call them black, but they were heavily melanated, like more than me, maybe. But they say that when the colonizers came here, the people were copper skinned, and that's definitely me. There's lots of ways to be copper skinned. but it's not based on race. That's the main point. I went to the theater school at DePaul University. Where can I find the Hopi prophecy? Oh, my dear, there's so many books on the Hopi prophecy. Just Google it. I can't remember. There's a Hopi elder who was the first one who broke the code of silence and shared it with the rest of the world, and he was criticized by his own people, but he was called to share it because he could see the world was falling apart and people didn't know why. So just look up Hopi prophecy. Oh, I have a song about Hopi prophecy. Yeah, this program is on this channel because it gives me opportunity to talk about my music since people don't know about it. And I suppose this is getting me to the point where I'm going to make videos with all the songs because they don't all have videos. And I don't really know why. I didn't think anybody really cared. And back then it cost so much money to make a video, and now I can do it on my cell phone. So in the future, every one of my songs will have a little slideshow video. In fact, my most viral song is on the Kimatones channel. It was posted there by accident instead of the music channel. It's a devotion chant that I recorded on my cell phone with my headset. I'm sure I talk about it all the time. My headset, and you can hear it bumping up against my clothes. And all the other times I spent thousands of dollars and paid all these musicians to go in the studio with me, studio time, mixers, editors, mastering, CD replication, spot, all this stuff. And all I have to do is record it on my phone. But anyway, the song is called Purification of All Things. Great purification of all things. And it's hard to write out this backwards. Okay. Yeah. It's a great song. It's probably my second favorite. Good rising, great awakenings. Thank you for tuning in. Oh, thank you for sending the boo. Yes, when I see the ghosts, I just think of my ancestors. I'm really not into Halloween, if you know me at all. However, the symbolism we can use. Thank you so much. We're talking about TaMerikan culture and the Aboriginal Americans. I know Tootie and I have gotten into it a little bit. Tootie is the person that told me the information I needed when I was doing the renovation for my building. If you saw the videos, they're slowly being added to YouTube. This building is 100 years old. I inherited it. My vision is for it to be a wellness center and a studio for music and art, and a sacred, safe space for women who are escaping violent situations. And I had to chip. There was 20 years of lead-chipped paint in the stairwell, and everybody was afraid of how to deal with it. And he said, "Oh, just use a vacuum." So I rented a HEPA vacuum, and we vacuumed all the chips. Well, I did. My contractor wasn't available. It smells so much better in my building now, and the energy is so much better. But anyway, thank you for being here, Tootie, and for the gifts. Maybe we can have a conversation about this if you want to. We can talk about it. He accused me of, let's see, what was the words? I don't know the words, but he's someone who feels that my position is disrespectful to Native Americans. And I'm just trying to explain that it's not trying to be disrespectful to Native Americans. It's about learning how to love myself and the people who live here, the descendants of the Aboriginal Americans who have been classified as American Indian, colored, Negro, Black, African American, Afro-American. We've been reclassified so that we have no home, we have no nation, we have no rights, we have no culture, we have no traditions, and yet we provide all of this for the whole world. I mean, stop and think about it. All the inventions that came out during slavery times, right? That was all from us, right? The real McCoy, he was the inventor, right? All the car, the washing machine, the stoplight, the record player, like everything you can think of came from us. Didn't come from Kemet, came from here. All the music styles, American Indian music is based on rock. Sorry. It is. It's based on rock and roll. You and some of it sounds like gospel. African music, for a while, it was this constant stream going back between music here and there. Like, we totally influenced each other. Same with reggae. But it originated here. Jazz, R&B, rock, reggae, disco, like everything. Styles, fashion, recipes, food, practices, like everything. It came from us. And yet we have no nation. We have no home. We have no rights. We're still considered less than human. And so for someone to think that we need to build our future within this construct is delusional. We're building a construct based on what, like I said before, I've come in contact with Aboriginal Americans whose ancestors never left their land. They didn't go to the reservation. They're Cherokee, they're Lakota, they're all these other Creek, all these tribal names that were given to us, right? But they didn't leave. They didn't go to the reservation. Since they didn't go to the reservation, they're not considered Aboriginal American Indians. So it's a really interesting topic, and that's why I'm doing this on Tuesdays. Earlier today, we talked about some of the cosmology of the Olmec and the Quechua people. That's what I studied before I got into Kemet, and how my ancestors and spirit guides are telling me it's time to bring it together. We're one, just different locations. Enough of this bickering. You know, I believe that corn originated here. People from Africa say it originated there. Hey, let's just give thanks for the corn. Then people say, oh, it's GMO corn today. It used to be called maize. Okay, I still love corn when I can find non-GMO corn. So we don't need to be arguing over these things. We need to come together. And when I say come together, they say, oh, you sound like those, you Western, want to erase our culture and heritage. And no, I believe in autonomy. Every culture, every indigenous people, person, place, spiritual practice. Let's come together close enough to defeat Western imperialism. Let's bring all the pieces together the way the Hopi say. Bring all the teachings of the indigenous people of the 4 directions so that we can come together and have a spiral dance, medicine wheel ceremony, and honor the indigenous cultures of the 4 directions. Can't see the chart. Honoring the seasons, coming together. How do the people of the North celebrate the middle of fall? Okay. How do the people of the East celebrate the middle of fall? How do the people of the South celebrate the middle of fall? How do the people of the West celebrate? We have a ceremony where we have each one of those observances, and we come together and defeat Western imperialism. That's my goal. Somebody said, why are you doing this? I'm doing this to defeat Western imperialism, to bring back indigenous spirituality, Aboriginal spirituality, Aboriginal culture. Thank you so much, Rosemary Roberts. Thank you for your comments. Rosemary Roberts says, lovely to hear your refreshing voice. Beautiful vision for your space. Thank you. Yes, I would love to have that vision for the Light Being Wellness Center, Asamajishi Temple, and Ellis Avenue Studios. I will be in the near future, probably, I'm very seasonal, probably with the winter solstice or possibly Sirius culmination. I will start the subscription services where we have these devotional offerings and astrological offerings and the TaMerikan offerings. And those donations will go to Asamajishi Temple, which will in fact help fund the renovations. That's been one of my biggest problems with this is I'm scared to ask for money. I'm scared to say I need help. I don't want to come off as a whining, needy person. And I was just watching on YouTube Live Afro Science and Spirituality? I don't even know our teacher's name, but he was talking about why are spiritualists and healers struggling and broke and poor and all this other stuff. And I was like, good question. I need to know myself because I am. And it's just talking about how it's really hard for us to charge money for our services because we want everyone to have access, even though not everyone says they can afford it. And I just feel so weird turning people away because they don't have the money for the service or to come to the shows or to buy it, to download the music. Because I'm not doing these things to get rich. I'm fundamentally doing this so that more people have access to this medicine, because that's my reason for being here, my purpose. And I don't know how to get it out. And so he was saying the reason that he charges money is to protect his practice, to protect his offerings, to protect his services, because he says there's evil people out here who just want to destroy us and block us from success. And when we make it available to everyone, we also make it available to the people that want to destroy us. But when you charge a small fee or a fee that respects the value of what you're offering, then it's only available to the people that actually want it. I was like, what? Charging money is protection. So, I'm going to have to sit more with this, because I've never had that. I've never had that before. I've never thought about that way before. So in the near future, we will start having classes. I'll also be doing the Akusaneb, which is the TaMerikan yoga reflective meditation movement system, which is based on Tefna Taru from my teachers, Saibai Ma, Saibajat, EgyptianYoga.com. And that will be by subscription. So we'll have the Cosmic Adorations, which is the devotional worship, the Spiral Dance Medicine Wheel, which is the TaMerikan ceremony for the indigenous people of the four directions come together to share wisdom teaching to defeat colonialism, the Cosmic Chimes and Chanting, the astrology offerings, sound healing offerings, and then the just Spiral Dance, Adorations, Chimes and Chanting. And the yoga. So that'll be 4. And then also I will be doing the meditation. This meditation system came to me October 17th, 2022. You can watch the video when I had the green flash sunrise, when I woke up to this, I don't know, I guess it's an aberration, like refraction, where everything was green. It's like a rainbow, but it shined green light on everything, and it lasted for like 3 seconds. And so I downloaded this powerful meditation that has been so helpful to me. So we'll also have the meditation. So tomorrow I'll be back 8 to 9:30 a.m. for Wellness Wednesdays, and then Thursday 8 to 9:30 a.m. Central Time for Unitarian Devotion on Thursdays, and then Friday is the Spiral Dance Medicine Wheel mid-fall for Dia de los Muertos, and we'll be there at Pebble Beach 7 a.m. Central Time, live and direct, TikTok and YouTube. Okay, so it's been a really great rising TV. I know I always say good rising TV, and many people like to say grand rising or great rising. Why do I say good rising? Well, because God is good. And it's not just the sunrise, it's rising in consciousness. So we're rising in our divinity. We're rising in our God and Goddess consciousness. So that's why I still say good rising, great awakening. Because you're awakening to the truth of the illusion, of the matrix, of the veil of ignorance and death and darkness that this whole planet and the money, the monetization, that we're under this spell. And so that's why I stick with good rising TV. And it's kind of a joke, because at the time when I was, because I've had like 3 phases in my life. It's when I was a young person. My name was Stacy Allison Hambrick. And then when I came into my my culture awareness, I didn't want to be called Stacy. I never liked the name Stacy. It's Greek. I have nothing in my culture that's Greek. So I translated it and learned that it means rise again, rebirth, renewal, regeneration, rise again, rebirth, renewal, rejuvenation, regeneration, and resurrection. And then at the time I was practicing Hebrew Israelite traditions, cultures. So I got a Hebrew baby name book and found out how to say it in Hebrew. And that's Tachia, but it's pronounced Tahia or Tachaya. Some people say Tachaya, but it's Tahia, which means rise again. It's what they say when they blow the shofar. I mean, I know about Hebrew Israelites. Don't come at me with that, because I've been there. And so, so that was my name, Tachia Ahmed. It means rise again, truth, right? And then when I got into Natarian, I asked my teacher, Sebama, for my Kemetic name, Arit. Arit Neter Es Meri Ma'ati means she who makes offerings, musical offerings to her tutelary divinity, beloved of the dual goddesses of Ma'at. So, of course, I lost the train of thought that led to that revelation. I remember. I don't remember. Anyway. Spiral Dance Medicine Wheel, Friday, 7 a.m. Central, at the lake, at sunrise. Oh, why do I say good rising, great awakening? This is how I am all day, every day. That's why I'm the goddess next door. That's my tagline, the goddess next door. I stopped trying to be perfect and passing other people's standards and meeting their aspirations for myself. They see where I could be in 100 years. This is where I am right now. I'm the goddess next door. I live right next door. I live in the hood. I'm on Ellis Avenue. I have this basically looks like an abandoned building, but it's a temple of wellness and healing. Nobody knows that I'm here. I have to, I'm going to start putting my sign out. I've been here 6 years and people on my block don't even know what I do. Place my timetable in my description. Oh, that's a good idea. I made a video about it, but I will place my timeline in the description. That's a very good idea. And so Natarian, yeah, I think I covered everything. I'm just repeating myself now. So please check out my music. I'm on your favorite music platforms, Spotify, YouTube, all the platforms, Tachia Ahmed or Tachia Ahmed El Ma'at. I have 2 Kemetic devotion albums. I think DistroKid took it down because I didn't send them my payment. I'm switching back to CD Baby. Like this week, I'm switching back to CD Baby. And yeah, the whole purpose of that music is to put spiritual teachings of the 4 directions to music to make it easier to learn. That's really how all of my music began. It's because I was studying these spiritual teachings and I wanted to remember them. So the way I remember them is put it to music. I didn't know I was a chantress. I didn't know that I could read a scripture from the Pertains Maru and a chant would appear. I didn't know that until recently. So please check out my music. Follow me on Spotify. Add my music to your playlists. On TikTok, if you're just tuning in. Oh, sorry. I'm about to log out. I'll be back tomorrow. Good Rising, Great Awakenings. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tapping the screen. Check out my music and please support your goddess next door. She's really takes a lot of energy to not give up on her mission and her path. And she's determined to have an impact on the world with her music and sound. Have you seen that movie, The Fifth Element? At the scene at the end where they take the body of the woman who was sent here from another dimension to destroy the Death Star, the Death Ship, Western imperialism. And she doesn't believe in humans. She doesn't believe in humanity because they're just hurting each other and they're polluting the earth and always having war and all this other stuff. And they figure out how to activate the temple with the 4 elements, right? The 4 elements. And they put her in the center. And he's begging her to not give up. Please save humanity. Do what you're supposed to do. And she says, I don't believe in love. And he says, I love you. Love. Show me some love. But she sings out this note, one sound, and it destroys the Death Starship, and she saves humanity. So, that's a vision I've had for myself. My spiritual teachers, Sebama and Sebajai, they told me that was my ego. And I'm no longer in their temple, by the way, but I still feel that I'm going to find the right frequency, the right music to go with the right meditation. Like that video that went viral, I need to do that for all my songs. Just forget about producers and engineers and studio time and just use my cell phone and just make the lyric videos. That's really all people need is the lyrics and the translations. Okay, so thank you again for showing your love to your goddess next door. Thank you, Constance and Rosemary. Oh, Rosemary says that you are doing all of this in service and sales is a service of love. Thank you. I will place my timetable in my description, and I have a little short with the schedule, but I will place it in descriptions, and I will be back tomorrow. Oh, Voodoo Child, I'm so sorry I'm tuning out. I would love to have a discussion with you. Could you possibly tune in on Thursday where we have a comparative of the Natarian traditions, Kemetic, Ife, Voodoo, Ife. And then on Tuesdays, we talk about how they correspond to Olmec Mayan traditions. But unfortunately, it's time for me to sign out. Also on TikTok, if you can, if you like this content, please consider becoming a team member. I thought it cost money to be a team member, but it doesn't. It just means that you get extra bonuses and I get extra bonuses. And when you send a content creator a heart, we actually get a penny, not a diamond. So if you could do that whenever you're on someone's live, just join their team. Where is it? Right there. And they would love you so much. And I appreciate those of you that participated in the Dia de los Muertos challenge, which is the it's like a ghost or a cat with a hat or a pumpkin. Anytime you're on someone's live stream this week and you're one of those that sends gifts, please send your favorite content creator some of those gifts. It really helps us a lot. Okay, now I'm officially done for today. If you're in the Chicago area, Wellness Wednesday, I'll be at the Pueblo Market in Pilsen from 6 until 9, offering free sound healing demonstrations, mini tune-ups by donation. I'll have my wellness products, the salves, I've got a new shipment of pinhole glasses in, and more. So if you're in Chicago, come by the Pueblo Market in Pilsen, 6 to 9 p.m., 2015, South Laughlin. See you there. See, when I'm just the goddess next door, I can be myself. I can crack jokes. I can be funny. I don't have to be so serious. Of course, I'm SIRIUS serious. I'm just not SERIOUS serious. Thank you, DTTG, for tuning in. You can catch the replay on my YouTube music channel. Peace and love. Hatep, Asheo, Namaste, Wado. And so it is, blessed be all indigenous directions in the 4 directions. Yeah. How do we? I don't remember how to. Oh, end stream. Okay, thank you. Do it doesn't want me to end. It's not ending. Come on, YouTube. Okay. Wow. I don't know why it's not letting me end. Oh, I didn't know I could share it with people. Okay. Oh. I forget it's not my phone. Oh. I'm up here tapping the screen on YouTube. I got my computer back. That's the thing. I got my computer back. And so, okay, here we go. Do a tap. All right, I figured out